Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. We have a beautiful show tonight. One of the most important guests is going to be on the show in a second. I'm so excited to see her. Marylin Pierre is our guest today. As you already know, Marylin is running for judge in Montgomery. So it's going to be an excellent show. We're going to invite her in a minute. She will tell us exactly why we should vote for her. So please share the live show. It's going to be a pretty interesting one because the guest is, one of the guests you want to have, especially in this kind of time where most people still don't know who to vote for. And these are the time where you want to vote for somebody that will, handle the business, will take care of these issues. Now, she has a lot of experience. I'm going to let her speak for herself. It's a very, very interesting, show today. So without me talking, because I know it's my show, but it's still, today is a special day. You can see the excitement is in the air. People waiting for this show. They want to see Marylin talking. So without further ado, let me bring Marylin Pierre. There you are.
Hi, Malik. How are you? It's so nice to see you.
I'm so glad to see you. Listen, you can see the excitement. It's a good day. Good day in the sense.
I'm so excited too.
Yeah, people really, really want to hear you talking. And the reason being the fact that with this coronavirus, we didn't really have a time to physically meet. Most people wanted to, campaign for you, but coronavirus just came along and it's been very tough. But nevertheless, thanks to the technology, we are able to still want to listen to you. There's a lot of folks that want to know who you are. So what I'm going to do is just give you time to introduce yourself. Tell the viewer, people who just are watching this for the first time or trying to know who is this lady. They've been taught, hear people talking about Marylin Pierre. Who is Marylin Pierre?
Well, my name is Marylin Pierre, and I am a candidate for Montgomery County Circuit Court Judge. Montgomery County is in the state of Maryland. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in and paying attention. I hope that you are having as much fun with this as we are.
Absolutely. Now you are running for judge.
Yes.
One of the things that I wanted to do at the beginning of this show was to read your bio, and then I realized how extensive is this bio. I couldn't, do justice by just reading the bio, and because I went on your website, and I see so much accomplishment, and I was kind of surprised though. I have to tell you, I was a little bit surprised to see. 2 years ago, I've seen people that was trying to run against you talking about, your qualifications. They were saying stuff about, you were not, you didn't go through a certain process. And then I started to do this reading myself and I realized that the law allowed you to run. Can you speak? Yes. I know, because I've been there. Like you running for judge. I was running for delegate, and I heard those mean stuff, that people were saying it, against you. But I was just shocked and surprised to see how composed you are, composed, calm, and stay on target. You never, fight back in terms of attacking them or negative. And then I was thinking to myself, if you want somebody, a judge, somebody who capable to take a case and look at the evidence without judging somebody. You want to go with somebody like Judge Pierre. I mean, so tell us a little bit. Do you have the right to run, and why is that this smear campaign against you?
I have the right to run. If I did not have the right to run, the Board of Elections would not have put me on the ballot. So just like everybody else who is running for position, I have to prove that I am qualified for that position before the Board of Elections would put me on the ballot. The Board of Elections, they checked, actually for judge, it's a two-step process. First, you have to go to the administrative office of the courts in Annapolis. That's the capital of Maryland. And at the administrative process, that you have to get a letter that says that if you were to win the election, you could sit as a judge because you have met all the qualifications. So only after receiving that letter from the administrative office of the courts will the Board of Elections then put you on the ballot to run as a judge. And of course, I went through that process. And of course, I am qualified to run as a judge, which is why I am on the ballot to run as a judge. So every time they say I'm not qualified, what they're actually saying is that they are the ones who are the gatekeepers, and they do not want me to get in past the gate. So that's actually what they're saying. They're saying that certain people can get past the gate, you cannot, because we will not let you in. So I'm hoping the voters will see how important this race really is and allow me in.
No, you know what? Talking about how important this race is. By the way, a gentleman just sent me a video, to just show us how important this election is, and I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm gonna play it in a minute, but I just wanted to come back. I wanted to come back on that. What you just said, isn't it misleading to people who actually are on their way to become judge to go to voters and give and feed them with some misleading information? Because I'm not saying stuff that I'm not just gonna put your word in your mouth, because I was there on the floor. I don't know if you remember me or about me.
I remember you.
Yes, I was there campaigning. At one point, I have two ladies. I don't remember their name, but they would just literally say, "Our opponent, she is not qualified." And ever since, I said, you know what? Let me bring Marylin on the show, and so we can talk about it. We can talk about it, because you want somebody who just that no, tell the truth. I don't know about this year, because I don't know who's the your opponent this year, but I don't know if this kind of a tactic continues. But the fact of the matter is, we're gonna have to, and we voters, we're gonna also have to be able to do our own research. Go on the page on your on your website, and then read this information, because I come to realize that some of them didn't even have this extensive. You have 20 years of practicing law.
But this year, 2 years ago, you saw how bad it was. Now it's even worse, because 2 years ago I did not get past the primary. So now that I have gotten past the primary, it has gotten much, much worse. They started implying that I'm incompetent, and now they are attacking my integrity. It's just everything else. But what I really want to talk about are the issues. That's why I try not to talk about them so much, because I think the issues are so important. And when they do things like attack me, they're trying to get me to get off topic. And I think this topic is so important that I'm not going to let my personal feelings make me forget why it is that I'm actually running.
Absolutely. Well,
so I would like to tell you why it is that I'm running and what moves me to run, if you don't mind, because I have it, well, I have it written down. So that way I could tell you exactly why I'm running, and then we could discuss the issues rather than, you know, discuss people who, like I said, just don't want to allow people to make up their own minds.
Absolutely. But listen, that's, that is one of the number part of the question that you're not gonna get away with while
Mhm.
you're in the issues, and the reason why I know you always stay on focus, because I've seen you campaigning, and you always is about always about issues. It's about always the why. So why don't you just go ahead and tell the viewers why should they vote for you?
Well, as I stated before, the issues, that's what moves me. Uh, and we talked about how I've been practicing law for over 28 years. I spend a lot of time in court because I'm a litigator. And one of my favorite things to do when I'm not actually in court with a case is to stay and watch other cases. I just can't get enough. I wanted to be a lawyer since I was 12 years old, and I love law. And I would do it for free if I could find some other way to feed myself and my children. But watching so many cases in court, I have been very concerned about the over policing and the over incarcerating of our young people that I have seen at the courthouses that I've sat in. And so I started to do some research, and I realized how dire the situation was. Uh, I have found that Maryland, that has a reputation for being a progressive state, doesn't really live up to its progressiveness when you look at the statistics. For instance, our young Black males in the state of Maryland, they're not more criminally inclined than any other young Black males in any other state in the country. Yet statistics have shown that our young Black males are over incarcerated more than in Maryland than in any other state in the country. And to me, that's extremely problematic. Well, let's start with the with the student incarceration rate. The national student arrest rate is about 140 per 10,000 enrolled students. In Maryland, the rate was 217, but in Montgomery County, which is the county that I'm running for judge in, the rate was 322. That means that the arrest rate for students in Montgomery County is more than twice more than twice the national average. And we know that these arrests are the first step in the school to prison pipeline. In addition to all of that, the Justice Policy Institute found that Maryland incarcerated a higher percentage of its young Black males than any other state in the country. More than 70% of Maryland's prison population was Black in 2018, while the total population of Black people in the state was 31%. The Justice Policy Institute found that Maryland's prison population has a higher percentage of Black people in comparison to its total Black population than any other state in the country. Even if you don't find a moral argument against over policing and over incarcerating persuasive, since it costs Maryland taxpayers about $50,000 a year to incarcerate someone, that level of spending is financially unsustainable. We have to address at least three different parts of the justice system in order to decrease the over policing and the over incarcerating of members of our community. First, we have to address the police. I am a former military police officer. Being a police officer is a tough job, and it is not for everyone. Some people can be trained to do their job, and some can't. A police officer who uses excessive force can be fired, put on paid or unpaid administrative leave, put on desk duty, or the officer can even be put in a community that he or she can patrol, where he or she can empathize and sympathize with the people that that he or she is supposed to serve and protect. Frankly, as a person who cares about the people in my community and as a taxpayer, I would prefer to pay for a wrongful discharge case than a wrongful death case. One is not surprised to learn about the excessive use of force complaints against police officer Derek Chauvin. You know, the police officer who had his knee on George Floyd's neck.
But
You can tell.
Marilyn,
Yes.
there's a lot of stuff in the civil unrest, the importance of having people who are sensitive about now, we talk about, policing the community, all kind of stuff. We're going to get this. I don't want to cut you because this is probably one of the most important show of 2020.
Yes.
The election is okay. You elect a president, it's 4 years. If he's lucky, 8 years. A judge have an important position to play, and usually when they're in position, it can go for 15 years to whatever. So what I'm gonna try to do to really give you some more meat to what you're gonna say tonight, I'm gonna just play a little clip, if you allow me. I'm gonna play a clip that will put whatever you're saying in perspective, and I'm not gonna say that I'm not the author of this clip. It was sent to me, and I thought that was very, very important for me to play this for the viewers, so the people understand, they put this in perspective, why a judge is very important, and especially us living in Montgomery, that happened to be a progressive place. You will think that it will be better in terms of justice, but usually when we see the data, it's something else. So I'm just gonna play this and I'll bring you back so you can continue to bring. And I like for you to go deep into all these issues with the police brutality and what happened to that young man not too long ago. So give me just 1 second. I'll play that clip and then you will come back and continue to break into a legal way what we need to know. Okay, so just 1 second, if you allow me here.
You disqualify yourself when you sit at home. And beloved, voting is not simply about what president will sit for the next 4 years. When you fail to vote, you do not understand the judicial legacy that a president leaves long after he is in office. This vote in November is not about the next 4 years. It's about the next 40 years. Let me take you back to Constitution and governance. The President of the United States has the authority to place men and women as judges all across the district courts, the appellate court, and the Supreme Court. This current president, in his 4 years, has appointed more judges than every other president except Jimmy Carter. In 4 years, President Donald Trump has appointed 198 judges to the bench, 2 to the Supreme Court, some 50 plus to appellate court, and the rest to district court. And many of those appointees will sit as justices of judgment for the rest of their lives. 198 judges have been appointed by this president. Do you know how many of those 198 appointees are black? Do you know how many of the 198 appointees of this president are of color? Of the 198 judges that this president has placed on the bench, not one of them is black. Not a single black face sitting as a judge under this president. 198 judges and not one of them is black. Man, stop filming. A 198 judges. 198 judges, and not one is black. So when you don't vote, you don't determine who stands at trial. When you don't vote, you don't get to sit in the jury and determine the fate of those in trial. When you don't vote, you don't get to help determine the judge that sits on the bench. So don't tell me you out here hollering Black Lives Matter if you don't vote. Black lives don't matter to you if you don't vote. Don't tell me you're mad that Daniel Cameron has not indicted the police officers who killed Breonna Taylor if you don't vote, because you ain't got nothing to do with it. How dare you not vote? When we don't vote, we dismiss ourselves from being part of.
Well, I think that video have a little issue with it, but the point of the matter is, I hope, Judge, you were listening when this video was playing. I think this is one of the most important video as you here today with us. Number one issue is folks have to vote. If you really care about Black Lives Matter, it doesn't matter whether you're black or white, because most of the allies nowadays are white and other races, joining forces with black people to try and solve this issue. So we all have to register and vote. Now, the most impressive to me is to realize that President Trump, out of 198 judges, there's no black person. So how can this, I want to listen to you and understand what's the correlation between having people that are capable to have that kind of empathy. I do understand when I read when I went on your website, I know you have core pillars that you go by. You love to listen to carefully every case before you make your judgment. You also treat everyone with dignity and all kind of stuff. You practice what they call the
restorative justice.
Restorative justice. Those are the three fundamental pillars that you go with. But isn't it important to also have some common empathy? Because we know some folks can just steal the $1 and go 50 years in jail, all of that kind of stuff. So tell us why it's so important for us to register and vote. And second, what is so important to elect folks that come from our community? Is that something?
Is.
Yeah, go ahead, break it down. It's your turn.
It is extremely important to register and to vote, because unless you vote, you do not have a say in the people who are representing you. And if you don't have a say in the people who are representing you, then they will listen to the people who actually voted for them, because after all, they would not have their jobs without those people. So it is extremely, extremely important to vote, because that's the only way that you could let your voice be heard. That's saying your vote, your voice is exactly correct. If you don't vote, you don't have a voice in the process. And yes, there are other ways to show that you want to support your community. And I support all those types of ways. You have a First Amendment right to protest, do so, protest, but also show up on election day, or if you want to mail in your vote, that's perfectly fine too. But vote. People do not know who you voted for, but they do know that you voted. And so if you want anything out of your elected politician, whether or not you voted for that person, if that person can look at the election polls and said, oh, okay, this person votes in every election, I am going to take that call because he may or may not have voted for me, but he's going to show up at the next election because he's a super voter. So if I don't take his call and he voted for me, he might vote for my opponent next time. Or he might not have voted for me, but if I take his call, since he's going to show up to vote next time, maybe next time he'll vote for me. So voting is power, and I think it's really, really important to vote. And you yourself know how important it is to vote, because for hundreds and hundreds of years, they've been trying to disenfranchise people from voting. You know, first they did it based on color, then they did it based on gender, and then they did it based on gender and color, and now they're even trying to do it based on finances. And if the right to vote was not so important, they would not have tried so hard to keep certain people from voting.
But knowing the history of this country, Maryland, do you think it doesn't even sound right for a president to actually select 98 judges, and there's no person of color? There's no.
But who
Is that
voted
because you
for?
guys black people don't have the qualification? Or what?
Well, no. Actually, I go back to who voted for that person. That person is helping out his constituents because he knew who voted for him, and he knew that certain people did not. So therefore, he is trying to please the people who voted for him so that those people can then show up at the polls to vote for him again. That goes to my point that if you vote, you have power. If you don't vote, you're giving your power away.
But I know in the case of Montgomery County, it won't be the president. It will be the governor, right?
Yes.
So how that process works?
Well,
what do we have to first vote for you and then go? I mean, can you explain a little bit the process?
okay. There are two ways to become a judge in the state of Maryland. All judges in the state of Maryland are actually state employees. There are 4 levels of courts in the Maryland state system. There is the district court, the circuit court, the court of special appeals, and the court of appeals. They're thinking about renaming the court of appeals the Supreme Court of Maryland. At 3 levels of the judicial system, judges either don't run for elections like in the district court, or they run for what's called retainment. They get appointed by the governor, and they run to be retained or not, which I've never heard of a judge not getting retained. On these 3 levels have judges who are confirmed by the Maryland Senate. The circuit court judges are not confirmed by the Maryland State Senate, and they're placeholders until the next election. That is why people who have met the qualifications can go to the administrative office of the courts, ask to be certified to be put on the ballot to run for the circuit court position.
Now, again, I know you probably already discussed that point. Not to take you back to this, I call it controversy because it is a little bit uncomfortable, for people who actually can decide life or death, or just decide your destiny. And I'm a little bit. It really shocked me to see the behavior of people, attacking. You will expect that to be politician, dirty attacks and misleading information, and not to mention the fact that if the law allowed somebody to run, and you are doing everything possible to trying to talk to the voters and let them know that actually this person that doesn't have the right. I don't want to mention names. You went through this before. You again are going through this again. So you are about issues. Let's talk about police brutality. Why is that in Maryland?
Well, actually, Malik, actually, before we get into that, can I talk
Yes.
about something that you mentioned before in reference
Yes.
to somebody stealing $1 and getting put away for years? I actually have an example in the state of Maryland that is so heartbreaking. There's a young lady who stole $4.99 from Walmart out on the Eastern Shore. She was charged, and when she went to court, the judge said to her, well, I'm tired of these University of Maryland students coming over and doing things, so I'm going to make an example out of you. So the judge found her guilty of stealing, of theft under $100, and what she actually stole, like I stated before, was $4.99. So she goes back to the University of Maryland, and she was a student there, and she completed got her bachelor's degree. She cannot get a job because she was found guilty of a crime. So she has to check the box, have you ever been convicted of a crime? And the answer is yes. So no one wants to hire somebody who has been convicted of a crime. She cannot get an expungement because she has been convicted of a crime. The best thing that she could do right now is to wait 5 more years from this year, when her conviction would have been 10 years old, and ask the governor 5 years from now for pardon so that she could get an expungement. That is such a tragedy, because we all know that 18-year-olds, they do things that aren't exactly right. But to punish this young lady to that extent because she stole $4.99 and to basically ruin her life like that, she's never going to be able to, even if she gets the pardon 5 years from now, it would have been 10 years where she cannot find a job in her profession. She's going to be 10 years behind her colleagues. She's never going to be able to catch up. And all because a judge on a whim decided that he was going to make an example out of her. That's the importance of having judges judges who could sympathize with people, judges who would look at one person and say, oh, this is youthful exuberance. You pay the money back and you never do that again. And just go away. I'm not going to give you a criminal record. Or one who says, I'm going to give you a criminal record because I basically want you to pay for all the crimes of everybody else that came before you.
Wow. Now, one of the information anybody can read when they go on your website is that Thurgood Marshall inspired you to go to what? And can you tell us a little bit how come you get into Thurgood Marshall, and are you in law when you went to law school? Is it because you wanted to solve this problem, these social issues?
I remember the moment I wanted to become a lawyer. And the reason why I remember it so well is because I was listening to a program about Thurgood Marshall because they were celebrating his 70th birthday. That day was July 2nd, 1978. When I heard all these things that Thurgood Marshall was able to do, and of course, he would not take all the credit. He would not say that he did it alone, but I just was so in awe that the law could be used to such a degree to allow people to have equity, to allow people to have more rights. I mean, the difference between us walking through the front door of any public space and having to walk through the back door really has to do with Brown versus Board of Education and a bunch of lawyers who, of course, included Thurgood Marshall, who systematically use the law to break down barriers for us all. And I was telling you about the University of Maryland student. She's Black, and she never would have been allowed to go into the University of Maryland 5 years from now if it weren't for the Brown versus Board of Education that desegregated public schools. It's amazing how you could use the law for good, but as we know, you could also use the law for bad. And my reason for becoming a lawyer, though, is to use the law for good and to open doors for people. And the more doors that I could open, the more barriers that I could knock down, the more worthy that I feel of telling the story that I was inspired to get into law by Reverend Marshall.
Wow. I mean, and people will look at this program tonight and say, what's that matter? And you see the life and the work of Thurgood Marshall and how we are able to transform this country. It's not that we don't have laws in this country, and just like you say, it's not the law. It's the way you apply it. Because for same law, not all of us have the same result. And you if you don't have that humane kind of attitude toward a certain group, I mean, that law will be extremely hard for them. So that it's very important to have some representation in that regard. So basically, you've been practicing many kind of laws. Can you tell us where all those laws that you've been practicing before you running for judge?
Oh, I have been practicing, different areas in the law. I do a good number of family law cases, which is the divorces, child support, custody, paternity, visitation, things of that sort. That's what the family law arena entails. And I did those for so long that I became I was, I guess, nominated or I was chosen. Yes, I was chosen to become a family law facilitator with the Montgomery County Circuit Court. I did that for 10 years. That's one of the things that showed me that I could be a judge, because as a facilitator, your job is to speak to both parties in a family law case and see if they could come to some sort of agreement. So you're not an advocate for either party, you're not taking sides. And me being such an advocate for my clients, I didn't think I would be comfortable wearing the hat of a neutral person, but I was quite comfortable in that role, and I did that role really well. That's when I started saying, oh, maybe I can do something more to help my clients. And that's when I then started working towards trying to be a judge. I also did other things. I do a lot of juvenile law cases, and these cases are heartbreaking because you're representing children who have been abused or neglected by their family members. And it's so hard to get somebody to trust you when they cannot trust the people who were supposed to protect them. But I've been able to do that very well, and I've had some very good successes for my clients. Many times the statistics talk about how children who have been in foster care are more likely to be homeless, more likely to lack education because of the disruptions in their education, more likely to have negative outcomes in all sorts of things in life. But I've had, I've had cases where my clients have graduated college. I've had cases where they have gone on to be very successful in life, and we still keep in touch. I had a case where my client graduated college. She graduated college. She was gainfully employed in her profession, and she was a homeowner by the time she aged out of the system at 21 years old. Whereas her sisters were, one of them was couch surfing and the other one was on her I think, third child, unmarried, and well, and on her way to continuing the cycle of poverty that she was born into. So I think I'm very good in these things, and of course I do wills, trusts, and estates, and I do guardianship cases as well. I love the practice of law, and and I talked about how I'm a great advocate for my clients, but wearing the hat of the neutral and seeing that I could do it, it just shows me that I could help my clients even more. Or I should say I could help people like my clients even more if I were on the bench. And that's why I'm running for Montgomery County Circuit Court Judge.
You know, when you look this social unrest, being the police brutality and all that kind of stuff, it seems that people don't have an answer. Because if they do have the answer, we will have the solution. Now, you are a reserve military police officer.
Former.
Yeah, you're a former.
Mhm.
You retired. What I want to really understand here, and I'm talking to America, if somebody will understand what the police officers go through, also somebody will be in court, and she is in the community. Literally, I mean, technically, you're overqualified, to be honest. If we have somebody who literally can help to solve this problem, knowing your background, I just don't know what to say. But tell us, do you think being a former military police will help you to really be a good judge?
Well, not only am I a former military police officer in the United States Army Reserve, but I am also a former chair of the Montgomery County Criminal Justice Coordinating Commission. That commission took all of the police, well, other group of police, all the different police departments in Montgomery County, and which is, believe it or not, over 20 by the time you have the Maryland State Police, the Montgomery County Police, the Gaithersburg Police, the oh my gosh, you're just so many of them. But basically, all the different police departments in the county, the Montgomery County Department of Health and Human Services, the Department of Juvenile Services, the I'm trying to think of all the different departments that were put into that one commission to address the issues of public safety in our community, to also address the issues of better policing in our communities, and to address the drug problems in our community and how we could reduce the opioids and things of that sort. So I was also that. I was also a legal redress attorney for the NAACP, and I am also the mother of two young Black males. So I understand this issue of over policing and over incarcerating at a level that not many people do. And so it is a huge issue for me, and I've thought about it for years. And there are ways to address this issue. For instance, when I was a military police officer, our commander made it very clear that if we were in the right, he would support us and he would help us in any way that he could. But if we were in the wrong, he would hold us accountable. I think the problem, the problem that we have now is that there's no will to hold certain police officers accountable. So because they're not held accountable, they keep thinking that what they're doing is okay. And you could tell by some of what was happening. A lot of people talk about the casual nature of Officer Chauvin when he had his knee on George Floyd's neck. They talked about how the officer had his hands in his pocket, like it was just another day for him. Now, somebody who thinks that they're going to be held accountable is not going to be that casual about doing something like this so publicly. And we know that had it not been for the some of what was going on, what happened after that, probably nothing would have happened. If you remember correctly, what happened after that was that the district attorney said, "Oh, well, we're not sure that the officer actually committed a crime, so we're not sure that we could charge him with anything." And it was at that point that people took to the streets and said, "Hey, if we could see what we're seeing and that's not a crime, then there's a problem there."
Well, injustices in this country is not something new. It's a part of this, the fabric of this country, and we also know that people that have a tendency to make the system better are usually those who come from the oppressed groups. You mentioned Thurgood Marshall, one man that were able to come and it shook up the system, and we have that case of Brown versus Board of Education, and completely changed the nation. So and see your background, the work you already been doing in the community. I have no question whatsoever. What I'm gonna do, however, is I'm gonna play a quick video that will give, because usually a show is a show. You come and just answer some question, and usually it's impossible to even say everything about you. But this is so important that people have to go beyond this show, go on your website and trying to see what kind of person you are, and the dedication you have to give to really help solve some of these social issues as far as the law is concerned. So I'm gonna play this real quick, and then we'll come back. You're gonna give us some more information and maybe some commentary on the video I'm gonna be playing.
My name is Marylin Pierre. I am running for Montgomery County Circuit Court Judge, and I respectfully ask for your vote. I have been practicing law for over 28 years. I am a retired United States Reserve military police officer, a former chair of the Montgomery County Criminal Justice Coordinating Commission, and a former legal redress attorney for the NAACP Montgomery County branch. I am a 3-time recipient of the Maryland's Top 100 Women Award and a recipient of the Leadership in Law Award. I am recognized as a bar leader by the Montgomery County Bar Foundation and a recipient of the Montgomery County Bar Association Pro Bono Award. The Circuit Court is where the more serious criminal cases and the major civil cases are heard. Circuit Court judges hear family law, juvenile law, and some domestic violence cases, among others. I am running for judge because I believe in the judicial system, and I believe that it can work better for everyone. Going to court can be traumatic. Most of the time, we go to court out of necessity, not out of desire. I pledge to treat everyone in my courtroom with compassion, dignity, and respect. I also pledge to make the best possible decision based on the evidence before me and the law. Please support my campaign with your values, your voice, and your vote. Visit my campaign website, pierreforjudge.com, for more information. Vote for me, Marylin Pierre, for Montgomery County Circuit Court Judge. Please vote Marylin for Maryland.
Well, that was a lot of information there. I apologize there. I think everybody at this point trying to connect to the internet, technology, and especially when we live, there's no guarantee that everything will work smooth. But can you kind of tell us on that video a little bit more about why it's so important for people to know who you are? your personal morale, your personal ethics, why you went to law school in the first place. I saw Thurgood Marshall again, and this man keep coming in what is your own website, what are you talking? It looks like that is your role model. Can you please comment on that video?
Yes, Thurgood Marshall is my role model. Thurgood Marshall went to Howard University School of Law, so of course I had to go to Howard University School of Law. I loved going to school at Howard. I learned so much about myself and my abilities. Howard really, really pushes you, but it pushes you in the sense that it makes you see that you're more capable of what you think you are capable of doing. Let me say that, I guess, a more eloquent way. it the way Howard's philosophy is, you can do more than what you think you can do. And so I learned that philosophy. I learned that, if you put your mind to it, you could do what you want to do. And I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be the best lawyer that I possibly could. I wanted to help a lot of people using the law. And that's exactly what I got from Howard. I love my experience there. I made some friends that I'm still friends with, even though that was, I guess, 30 plus years ago. So we've been friends all this long. I have a network that is unsurpassed. It's just, I just had a great experience there. And practicing law, I love practicing law. I love being in the courtroom. I love representing people who have no one else to help them. Because
Is that the reason why you were nominated as because I saw something about pro bono? You've been doing a lot of pro.
Oh yes, I do. Yeah.
Some people just go to law to get rich, get money. But you did receive some award. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because one of the things that people don't understand is that when you send somebody into that court as a judge, you actually already decide your future. Something happened to you, and this is not, I can bring you so much. I have so much documentation about people who did actually nothing, end up going to jail for forever. So my attraction to your campaign, my attraction to who you are, not only because I went to Howard myself, okay, and I know a part of
Bison.
Yes, so it's you. Part of the Howard education is to teach you or to reinforce courage. I don't know if you have the Thurgood Marshall kind of courage to challenge the whatever is wrong, but what I know is I can have confidence in somebody who went to Howard University. It's a culture. When you go over there, you have no, there's no other way. You have to change whatever is not right. Now, you've been doing a lot of pro bono work, and pro bono meaning that you do stuff for free, or for folks who don't even have the money to pay for the service. Do you think in our community, most of the people that end up in jail usually because they don't have the right representation?
It's so hard to place just one reason on why they end up having these sorts of issues, because the system, there's so much going against some people that it's really a miracle when they don't end up in jail. What I mean by that is, they talk about how we can figure somebody's likelihood of ending up in jail based on their third grade reading levels. So if by third grade we could say, oh, this person is not reading at grade level, and their chances of ending up in jail is more likely, then what we should do is we should go back and say, okay, what do we need to do to put what do we need to put in place so that people can read by the time they're in third grade? I mean, just simple things. And the reason why I think that's so important is I go back again to public safety. No one wants to be the victim of a crime, but some people, they do things sometimes out of desperation. If you don't have any money to eat, or if you don't have a place to live, then you're more likely to do desperate things. Yes, there's a certain percentage of people who are going to commit crimes anyway, but there's some crimes that we can prevent, and we should work on the ones that we can prevent. As I stated before, it costs the state of Maryland $50,000, or some amount like that per year to incarcerate somebody. Well, why don't we take some of that money and teach some children how to read so that they could read on grade level, and 17, 18 years from now, they won't be making somebody else the victim of their crimes.
Absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense with the entire system, period. And education is one of them. That's why I've dedicated this show, and not just about business, but education and politics, because it seems to me that all of this together,
Mhm.
all of
And
this.
and I forgot to thank you at the top of the show for the opportunity. Your show is wonderful. It's great, and I wish you the best of luck. I know you're wonderful. How do I say it? A wonderful master of ceremony and a wonderful interviewer, because I've interviewed from you before. You're always putting a mic in front of me saying, hey, say hello to the people out there. So hello, people out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this show, is as an immigrant, I know you are immigrants yourself. We are well connected. You have people back home. You have people in the United States and Europe. And the reason why I'm saying this, because if they are watching right now, because I know some of these folks, they be watching, but they don't click on the video. They do watch, but they don't click on the live. But it's just to remind them that you don't have to be here in the United States to support. And I want, when it comes to law, because, I don't want to get into your area. It is not possible for folks in outside the United States to even help. Can they call the siblings, the relatives here in the United States and say, hey, listen, check this woman out. I'm trying to go on the Rebel website. It's even possible for a contribution to be made legally. Can you do you know anything about this? Can you tell they're watching right now?
Oh yes. If you're watching all over the world, first of all, thank you very much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And yes, there are ways that you could support my campaign. I'm not asking for money. What I'm asking is for your time. What I mean by that is, if you know anybody in the United States, even, you could please tell them about my campaign, and they could go to my website, pierreforjudge.com. Anybody in the United States who is a permanent resident, alien, or a United States citizen who's over 18 years old, they could contribute to my campaign. So you could get your siblings, your friends, your loved ones, to please ask them to contribute to my campaign. If they live in the state of Maryland, and especially, you could ask them if they know somebody in Montgomery County, and to please let them know that, hey, there's this young woman who's running. I say young, kind of funnily, because well, I'm going to be 55 and on Friday, so yay.
Wow,
double five. Yeah,
it's impressive. You still look like you're 20 years old.
Well, thank you. Who's been practicing law for 28 years. So, but thank you, Molly. Yeah, so it's really important. And if you can as well, go to my Facebook account, and which is Marylin Pierre for Judge.com. Well, I'm sorry, Marylin Pierre for Judge. And you could like my Facebook post and share them with people. You never know where those shares are going to end up. So thank you very much for taking this initiative. It's really important. I myself and am an immigrant and I came to this country. It's going to be 45 years on Friday because I came here on my 10th birthday. So on Friday, I'm celebrating my 45th anniversary of coming into the United States, my
Happy
55th
birthday.
birthday. Well, thank you very much. And my 27th wedding anniversary. So we have a lot of celebrating to do that day.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, one part of the, the introduction, probably was expecting you to say so, to talk about your family. You do have a family, your husband, Mr. Pierre, and
Mhm.
two children.
Mhm.
I'm not quite sure about the ages, but I do know, you are well grounded. You have a beautiful family that supports you throughout all of this campaign as well. So,
Well,
you know,
thank you, and I love to talk about them too because that's one of the reasons why I want to do this because I don't like the direction that we're headed in, and I would like to leave a better future for my children than what I'm seeing is going to happen if we don't step up and do something.
oh boy, we don't know what will happen. I mean, that gentleman that made that video to inform us about, because we get so distracted about, okay, the president comes
Mhm.
for 4 years, if he's lucky, 8 years, if he's not, it's just 4 years. But the impact of his action will live forever with us, because
Yes.
if people don't pay attention to that, then we always miss the boat. We always miss the
Mhm.
opportunity. And like people like you don't come more often. And I'm so glad, and I congratulate you, and I thank you to even put yourself out there, because look around, how many other people from our community are doing this or running for judge, just here in Montgomery. Last time I checked, 2 years ago, you were there, and this year again, you continue to come because you understand the stakes are too high. And if people care about this social unrest, police brutality, the social injustices that we go through, then you have to put somebody who is capable to fight inside the courtroom. Then you don't have to have these phony charges. So a kid steals a penny, then you go to jail for 50 years. In America, you look everywhere, you see those cases, including here in Maryland. And you were right when you say that if there's no clear message going out there to those people that are supposed to protect and serve us, if there's no clear message to say, listen, your premier job is to protect and serve. If you go beyond that, where you're starting to harm the people that you're supposed to protect in the first place, then there will be some consequences. I promise you, we will reduce that thing, all of this violence, consider, and enormously. So I don't know if, I already keep you for an hour, being here before an hour. What I'm gonna do is to give you a chance to probably, if you have a last message that you want to pass on, if there's more information that you thought you were not capable of releasing this evening, just a chance for you to say something, and just and put the rest to the end of the folks that's supposed to decide, because you have done so much, just so much for just to be out there, and we know how vicious, because this is not something that I'm just saying because
Mhm.
here I was there and I saw it. The folks, how people were capable trying to intimidate you, trying to discourage you, trying to push you on the side, and you still there standing. I want my judge to be and somebody like you. I want somebody like you to represent me, to be there and fight for me. So I'm gonna let you, say something. I don't know if you have some conclusion, some type of conclusion to give, but the floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much, Malik. I had so much fun. I didn't even realize that an hour had gone by already. And thank you, everybody, for watching. I really appreciate your attention. If you have any questions for me, my email address is on my website, pierreforjudge.com. and you could contact me. You could, and I will try to do my best to respond to your inquiries. I think that this race is so important that we have to concentrate on what the issues are. The other parties don't want to address the issues because they're, well, because they don't have answers for them. I have answers for the problems that we have, and I think that I will be able to help make this a better world. Nobody wants to be the victim of a crime. Nobody wants to lose their the custody of their children because of something that's not their fault. But judges have the capability of making that happen. And so, in order to have somebody who is able to look at the situation and decide based on the law, we think that you need somebody who is going to earn that position rather than somebody who was appointed. So therefore, please think about voting for me, Marylin Pierre, for judge, or asking somebody who you know who is capable of voting for me to vote for me. Thank you very much for your time and attention.
Thank you so much. I guess you probably did the best, to the best of your ability to give people what they're supposed to receive, information they need to know. If there's more to be learned about your campaign, just like you said, the website is actually below this page here. You can see the website if you want to have financial help. You can also address to the treasurer. Every information is below this page. Please do so, because more often what we see is that we want change, but we're not capable of investing in that change. If you look at other campaigners, you see that people that want to maintain them in those positions do contribute for them to stay there and keep the status quo. If you want change, then you have to do something about it. That's the reason why we're doing this. I'm doing what I'm doing. It's just to be able to give folks like yourself a place, a platform, and just to say something, because it takes a lot. It takes a lot to be a candidate. I was a candidate myself. You have to have really the love for the people to do what you're doing right now. And especially when you do it with, not too much. So now I'm talking to anybody that watching this woman right here. If you know who she is, I think you won't have no problem to contribute to her campaign to help her push forward, because we don't have a lot of people like her to go and shake up the system and make some change that everybody's looking for. So again, my sister, thank you so much. You're my house sister, a bison. Know that spirit. I know you will go and to that court and try to bring some justice to folks who actually needed it the most. So thank you again. Don't hesitate. If you have any, if you want to come back, before even the election day, please do so. We will be more than happy to have you on our show. So,
well, thank you very much, Malik. I love to come back. I love that the tidbit that you did with the commercial. I would love to see it all over. So thank you very much. You are so talented, and I really appreciate you giving me this opportunity.
All right. You take care of yourself.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay.